following is a presentation of the High Spot Podcast. Making their way to the ring, talking about the world of professional wrestling, the team of Jeff Martin and the Trendsetter, Bryan Burga, the Jersey Wrecking Crew.
Another week of pro wrestling is in the books. What is going on, guys? This is Jeff Martin, and you're listening to High Spot Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Martin HSP. Going solo this week. The Trendsetter will be back next show, but I'm trying to carry the whole show by myself. Wish me luck, guys. Got a great episode for you today. Chase Owens, the crown jewel of the Bullet Club, will join us on this week's show. We interviewed him at the Bullet Club block party a few weeks back, and we're going to delve into the G1 Climax, which heads to Dallas in July. New Japan making its push into the United States. We'll talk about that, maybe future championships down the road, as well as that feeling of what it was like to be a part of the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden. So the crown jewel joins us on this week's show. Again, first and foremost though, guys, support the crew. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Follow our YouTube channel, like and subscribe there, High Spot Podcast, for all our video interviews, and also subscribe to Adventures with the Trendsetter. You can see the Trendsetter's shenanigans as always. And of course, guys, we got our Pro Wrestling Tees store on ProWrestlingTees.com. Click High Spot Podcast and support the crew by buying some brand spanking new shirts. That's right, the High Spot Podcast is on Pro Wrestling Tees. So definitely check that out, guys. And again, any support that you give us here on the High Spot Podcast, any kind of love, we totally appreciate it. And also visit our website, highspotpodcast.com. Catch up with everything that we're doing. We are now a few weeks away from Double or Nothing in the High Spot Podcast. Jeff Martin and the Trendsetter will be in Las Vegas. So got great stuff coming up. May will be Double or Nothing month here on the High Spot Podcast. So definitely check us out. Also, guys, listen to the High Spot Podcast on all podcast platforms. That means TuneIn, Radio.com, Spreaker, anywhere podcasts are available. And also we're on bodyslam.net every Friday, as well as our good friends on the B Plus Player Radio Network and Shining Wizards as well. So where do I start this week? What exactly do you guys want to talk about? But you know what? Before I do, let's go and have a little flashback, shall we? Let's hear some audio from the McMahons talking about how they wanted to give you, the fans, control of Raw and SmackDown Live. Now, this was December 17th, about 6 months, and let's find out if things turned out the way they were supposed to, as promised by the McMahons. So here you are, almost 6 months, the McMahons addressing you, the WWE Universe.
Well, we're out here tonight because we haven't been doing a very good job for you lately. We haven't been doing the one thing that my father has always taught us to do, and that's listen to our audience. We've let middle managers air their petty grievances. We've been suffocating our superstars, and all of that is going to change, and it starts tonight. We're off to a fresh start.
The days of absentee management are over. As of now, the four of us will be taking back Monday Night Raw.
And that goes for SmackDown Live as well, because the four of us are personally responsible to ensuring that all of you have the best possible experience that there is.
We're going to empower our superstars and empower all of you.
And more importantly, we're going to give you what you want. Something new, something fresh. In the coming weeks and months, you will be seeing new faces, new superstars, new matchups. As of now, you are the authority.
And as long as we give you less of what you don't want and more of what you do, WWE will always be then, now, and forever.
Now that is a nice sentiment. I get choked up now, then, and forever. It's a nice thought. The crowd actually believed it, and we thought it was a new era. But what's gone wrong in the last months is that the ratings have gone absolutely down the tubes, and I am not one to pay attention to it. If I love good wrestling, I enjoy the wrestling, I'm not going to be particularly involved in the ratings. Well, the ratings show right now that the Raw viewership and the SmackDown Live viewership has hit an all-time low, and the first quarterly earnings have come out, and Vince McMahon has kind of blamed it to the lack of star absences, that i.e. being Roman Reigns due to leukemia, but he's back. He's only missed a few months, though. You've had AJ Styles miss some time, but he's been there. He's been a face on there. You've had Seth Rollins, and you've taken the title off of Brock Lesnar, which all of you have wanted to do so for the longest time because you guys need to see the Raw Universal Championship there every week. You need your title there every week because it's a prop and you want it there because, gosh, golly, Brock Lesnar is the worst thing to happen to pro wrestling. Well, now the title's off, it's on Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch has been the face of the WWE for the last few months, culminating at WrestleMania 35 with her winning the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania, beating Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. So, in Roman's absence, it's been Becky Lynch who's been the face, and does anybody want to even go there and say that, hey, maybe this putting all the chips in to the women's revolution may have affected the WWE and their first quarterly earnings? Could it have been? I'm not so quick to say that it's been all due to pushing the women's revolution, the women's evolution. I think that it has its place, but sometimes I feel like the guys don't have that same, I would say that the same kind of attention isn't put towards the men's storylines that you would see for Ronda, for Becky, or for somebody like Charlotte. You would see character development there. You would root for the underdog in Becky. You would root against Ronda. Charlotte would be that one that you think didn't deserve to be in the main event. But when you go and see a storyline like Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, all your vitriol and dislike for Brock Lesnar being the champion is what the WWE decided to be the main theme, and that it was finally time for Seth Rollins to slay the beast. But to me, that wasn't enough. I mean, yes, Seth versus Brock was good in all, but then again, I wasn't invested into that storyline. What other matchup at WrestleMania were you invested in? Batista versus Triple H? It's kind of tough because Batista wasn't there most of the time, and then he retired that same night after his loss at WrestleMania to Triple H, and he didn't even say a goodbye the next Monday night or Tuesday. So he just poof, disappeared. How am I going to get emotionally invested into that? The only other match was Kofi. And I told the Trendsetter at that time, boy, did I misjudge the audience and their love for Kofi. This is earth-shattering and groundbreaking on so many other levels that I didn't see. And when you think about it, not trying to be a Monday morning quarterback, but that matchup should have been the main event to WrestleMania. I told the Trendsetter as we were heading out of MetLife Stadium, usually when you walk out of WrestleMania, you still have that energy, you're still psyched, and you're talking about, oh my God, did you see that? Oh, they're talking about the main event and how the ending was. No, people just filed out. There was no emotion. Now, yes, did they go over on time? Yes, they did. It was well over 7 hours of being seated in your seat at MetLife Stadium. That had something to do with it. But still, it was just kind of like zombies walking out of the arena. When Daniel Bryan, the ultimate underdog, beat Batista and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, New Orleans was jumping. People were going crazy. People were yelling, yes, 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 heading out of the Silverdome. I mean the Superdome. So what has caused the WWE to have its low ratings? That's what I was thinking about before we started recording the show, and it's a little bit of everything. And one of the best examples, I would say, are what's going on with the Revival and Sasha Banks. See, Sasha Banks was unhappy about the short tag team title reign. She kind of took her ball and her smile and she went home. And now what WWE does is that if you're not happy, they don't want to lose you to AEW, though. Even though they call it a pissant organization, they're aware that in a few weeks, All In, which was very successful in September, in a few weeks, Double or Nothing will be the first launching pad for All Elite Wrestling. You don't think they notice? They do. And if you take a look at Sasha Banks, they don't want to lose her. She did sign a contract, though, so it would be very hard for her to be able to get out of it. But she's made her point. And the thing is that when she comes back, does WWE push her and give her a championship run? What kind of message are you sending to that locker room if you do so? The Revival, they said that they would not re-sign. They were given the little push. They had a WrestleMania match, although the pre-show, and they had a title run. But still, WWE had to get their way, so you wouldn't see that many entrances of them. You'd see them after the commercial breaks on Raw, and you'd see them take a lot of losses on non-title matches. This was the way of WWE getting a measure of, not revenge, but just showing you, you know what, you're still playing under our rules, pal. And then come to see this past week, John Moxley come out with his own video. Now, there's so many theories as to what's going to happen with him, whether, this John Moxley character will make a debut on Raw, and it's the end of Dean Ambrose, or whether this John Moxley teaser is setting up for him to show up May 25th at the MGM Grand AEW Double or Nothing. So there's lots to discuss about the way that they treat their wrestlers. One in particular is everything that's been going on with Lio Rush. Now, do you believe Lio Rush in his story? Do you believe a guy like Mark Henry, who has so much respect in that locker room for WWE, a guy that's very well respected in his side of the story, of him trying to talk some sense into Lio, and Lio denying that there's nothing going on? Obviously, there is something going on. Whether Lio has squandered his money or he's underpaid. So it depends on who you want to believe. He did talk to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com and did state his case. And Mark Henry, when it came to talking about picking up bags for the wrestlers and paying your dues, it wasn't a race issue for Mark. It was for the business. It's been done. And guys like Steve Austin, The Rock, have done the same thing. So now it's to the point where Mark Henry views it as whether you think you're too good to do that and whether you're too good for the business. And probably he does feel like he's too good for the position that he's at right now in WWE. Now, he's mentioned how being on the mic representing Bobby Lashley has helped him immensely in his promo because he wasn't a promo guy. But his promo has definitely got him into the spot where he is now. So that's curious to see what ends up happening with a guy like Lio Rush. All signs point to him being done with the main roster. Now, does he go to NXT? Does he get released? The latest is that he turned down a 5-year, $300K contract and turned it down, saying that pay me double or release me, because he wants to show them exactly the kind of star that he is. And that's the main question. Back in the day, I don't know if you would ask for your release. I don't know if you would be able to be grumpy on the sidelines and be able to do anything about it. Now you can. Now there are options. You have Ring of Honor, you have New Japan, you have AEW, you have Impact Wrestling to an extent. So now for the wrestlers, an unhappy wrestler before, you could hide that, but now you have social media, now you have options, and now disgruntled wrestlers now can leave. Look at guys like Kenta, like the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, Sean Spears, that asked for their release and got it, and they were granted it. Dustin Rhodes asked for release in January, was granted it, and now he's probably in one of the main events, headed to AEW at Double or Nothing, and he's fighting his brother, Cody. There was reports that Vince didn't want to let him go, and Triple H convinced him to, he's been a good soldier, he's been a good employee, you should give it to him, maybe knowing that this was going to happen, but now it is that you're going to see Cody versus Dustin. Luke Harper made it public that he had asked for his release, though it wasn't official. They didn't give him the release. They don't have to. Tacked on more months to Luke Harper, even though they have no plan on using him. The fact that these guys want to sign Joey Ryan just for the sake of not using him and just keeping him away from AEW. Does that make sense to you? Does all this turn the fan off about WWE? The very fact that Triple H recognized AEW when Billy Gunn was up there talking about his Hall of Fame speech, the fact that they call it a pissant company and that you can put executive vice president in front of anybody was a little shot towards AEW, where something that they did not have to fire that first shot. And then Cody got his in his last Road to Double or Nothing interview when he talked about Dustin and killing the Attitude Era. He did get that little jab in on Triple H. Could that be a reason why the ratings are so low? The Trendsetter made a great point to me, saying that the fans need to connect. They need to relate to the wrestler. And also the other problem is that if WWE is not doing that and not being consistent with storylines and having some surprise and some shock value, then the wrestling fan, as loyal as they are going to be turned off. Now, what happens to Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley? Does he go to AEW? Most likely. Does a guy like CM Punk eventually go to AEW? At first, I thought he was done, but when he returned and came back into the ring and did that little run-in with the mask, that was the first time I thought that, he could get that itch. And if he was going to paint his artwork on a canvas, it would be AEW's. And the fact that the Bucks and Cody have been so openly talking about Punk on being the elite and on the road to Double or Nothing, you kind of think that maybe there is that slight possibility that a guy like CM Punk would come back to wrestle. But back to WWE, the only problem I see is that you have your underdogs and you don't have a plan for them. The relationship between the wrestlers and the company. If that gets out, if that gets leaked out, does that turn a fan off towards the wrestler or the WWE? And now with the Fox deal that is looming in October, where you've seen that they've pushed Roman Reigns to SmackDown Live, the fact that they're loading up and you hear that guys like Cena and The Undertaker will be on the first episode in October. Listen, it's already May. We're in the first week of May. October is right around the corner, although I don't want to think about it because I want to enjoy my freaking summer. But all those variables have something to do with the ratings. And if you don't think that Fox is about the ratings, wait till October because they will not be as forgiving as USA is with the ratings. Now, it's not the end-all be-all. People now watch things on replays. People have other things to do. There are NBA playoffs. There is Monday Night Football in the fall that takes away viewership. But Friday night will be an important night for WWE to get the fans to watch on Fox because Fox is a network. They will not be as forgiving as USA if the ratings drop. Now, 1.83, it has nothing to do on Kofi or KO or AJ and Seth. But the thing is, look at the variables. Did the WWE put all their chips on the women's evolution that has not paid off? Because at the end of the day, it's all about money. Is that a factor? Is the wrestler-company relationship an issue? There are so many things that lead to this ratings fall. But the main thing is, in that ring, with those wrestlers, with those characters, we have to connect. We have to find some way for the fan and that wrestler to connect. Because if the Bucks can do it, if Cody and the Bucks and Kenny can do it by just shaking hands with a fan, by making this whole thing a company built on the ground up because of the fans' loyalty, they're doing something right that the WWE isn't, because we find the characters in AEW relatable. We, right now, are having a tough time finding the characters in WWE relatable. You do that, you go a long way in fixing your product before October. And remember that speech that you heard of the McMahons. Have they really given you guys back control? No. Have they given you the matches you want to see? No. Think about this. As we head into October, this is only going to get more glaring unless WWE turns it around. And as you head into the summer, when we all go down to the beach, when we all go outside more, and they think that the ratings are going to somehow increase, I've got magic beans to sell you. Will the WWE fix their problem? We will find out, because October is looming, and Fox will not be so forgiving. All right, guys, we will talk about Rebellion and the Crockett Cup coming back on the other side. But first, our interview with Chase Owens, the crown jewel from the Bullet Club Block Party, talking about the G1 Climax in Dallas in July, as well as his chase for championship gold in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But first and foremost, we ask what it was like to be part of the G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden. Here is Chase Owens on the High Spot Podcast on BodySlam.net. All right, High Spot Podcast here at the Bullet Club Block Party.
Oh, sound more excited, Jeff, than that. Look who we're sitting next to right now. Jesus. Look at this.
You don't sound excited at all.
I was about to get to go talking to the crown jewel. It was a long night last night, you know.
It was a long night.
Special, so
Thanks,
on 2 hours sleep.
It
I'm talking about Chase, not you. Come on, man.
You slept?
Well, I slept for 2 hours and then had to get back here to.
I slept with my eyes open.
This tremendous.
Me too. I haven't been to sleep.
This tremendous Bullet Club Block Party, Chase. Your thoughts on the turnout?
Oh, I love it. You know, the great fans, because like I've said before, you know, without the fans, there's no us. You know, so everybody's always thank you for what we do, but you know, without you guys, there's no us. So thank you.
Yeah. And we're saying the fans, not you, Jeff.
No, yeah, not you per se. Wait, have you bought a T-shirt?
You know what? Once the lines go down, yes, I will buy a T-shirt. We've been doing interviews here, so now I will get to be the fan once we wrap up here and go, you know.
Okay, then I'll thank you.
Yeah, okay. So Chase, talk about Madison Square Garden last night. It was history-making. We just finished talking to Balak Fale, and again, the thoughts were like, wow, what a tremendous time. MSG, was that the first time you've ever performed at Madison Square Garden?
It was. You know, I think it's the first time wrestling's been performed by somebody other than WWF, WWE in, what was it, 50, 60 years or something. Yeah. So, you know, to be in that atmosphere and to be a part of that was a great feeling. Just knowing the history of that building, you know, walking the halls, you know, you got goosebumps.
Now, talking about the history too, you were making history as you're a part of that. You know, your name will be edged that you're part of that event. But at the same time, was there nerves, more anticipation, looking forward to this? What was the mindset going in?
You know, it's just obviously we wanted to come out victorious. You know, but it's a little nerve-wracking, just knowing that, you know, it's Madison Square Garden. You know, the last time I felt any nerves like that, you know, was my first Tokyo Dome, you know, in Wrestle Kingdom. So, you know, but again, to be a part of something special like that, you know, it was a true honor, and you know, and I'm happy to be in the company that I'm in.
So the last time that we spoke, Chase, it was under different circumstances. There had been kind of like a little bit of a divide with the Bullet Club, and now you guys seem to have like patched things up, and you guys are now moving on, looking on forward to a lot of things. But for you yourself, what are you looking forward to in the next few months for yourself?
You know, this past month, challenged Juice Robinson for the United States heavyweight title, and unfortunately, I wasn't successful then. But there's 8 months left in 2019, so I can guarantee you that that you haven't seen the last Chase Owens Juice Robinson match of 2019.
And for example, now the Bullet Club last night did gain some titles as you bring home the Ring of Honor tag team titles, but you guys lose the junior heavyweight championship, and of course the one for Jay White, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Just your thoughts, how do you guys regroup? What's the next thing? What's next for Bullet Club? And what do you tell Jay, after a big loss like that to Okada?
A big loss like that is one of the hardest things as professional wrestlers, but it's how you rebound. And Jay is a tremendous athlete, a tremendous leader, and I don't have a doubt in my mind that he's going to be able to do what it takes to once again be the IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
You said leader. What about him? What do you think about him made him the right guy now for Bullet Club to be the face?
If you know the history, he came to New Japan by knowing, Prince Devitt and Bad Luck Fale. And those were the two original guys. So he's always been somewhat connected, even though, he wasn't always in the group. But I feel, he's been a part of the group, and now more than ever, that I've been here, I think the group's the strongest that it's ever been. It's not just friends. Everybody seems like family, and everybody will do whatever it takes to help the other one out.
What would you say to people who are first coming to find out what the Bullet Club is in New Japan Pro Wrestling? What do you think is the one singular thing that helps kind of bridge that gap with new audiences? And it seems like every single time you talk about New Japan, or more importantly the Bullet Club, it seems like a wider range of audience people get to know who they are and already know who they are before it's even mentioned in terms of your history. What do you think is that one thing that connects you guys with the audience?
It's just the talent. You have guys like AJ Styles, Gallows, Carl Anderson, and for those that didn't know what Bullet Club was before them going to WWE and it getting documented of New Japan and what Bullet Club was, then people started watching, and no matter what era, there's always been great talent. No matter what, you've got guys like Kenny Omega, who's one of the best in the world. Guys like him, AJ, and it's just how long I've been in 4 years. 4 years, and it's everybody's just a great group to be around, and every day we're getting stronger and stronger.
Now, a lot of rumors are suggesting that two former members of Bullet Club, one of the originals, Gallows and Anderson, might not return to WWE, might look for greener pastures, because let's be honest, WWE has dropped the ball. It's not anything on them. I talked to the Trendsetter a long time. It's nothing on them. WWE's literally dropped the ball on them. Would Bullet Club would welcome them with open arms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Carl Anderson, one of the original four.
Yeah.
Gallows came in, 5 or 6 or something like that, and those guys have still continued to be tight. So I'm sure if they want to come back, they're more than welcome to come back.
One final one for me, Chase. I thank you so much for your time, and I know it's not going to be an easy one to answer just because you are on zero sleep. It's been a tumultuous weekend for you, and in terms of leading up to this event and the build-up for it. But if you had a chance to enjoy it, meaning giving yourself the opportunity to be like, you know what, I am part of something pretty historic. There aren't many firsts in professional wrestling that much anymore, come few and far between, but when you're part of it, it's pretty cool. Us as fans hope that the talent do have a chance to get to do it, because they're always going and waiting for the next thing to do. Have you had a chance to enjoy this feeling?
I have. Me and Fale went out sightseeing a little bit. And,
oh, boy.
And, and I did WrestleCon on Friday and Saturday, and that's a little different than here. Here everybody's doing their own thing and just roaming free to hang out and meet everybody. But, like I said earlier, without the fans, there's no us. So anytime you can interact and and meet these people that have supported you, or have just become supporters or whatever, it's always a great time. So this is third year I've done WrestleMania weekend, and it's always a great time.
The last one for me, Chase. Again, Chase Owens, the crown jewel of the Bullet Club, joining us here on the High Spot Podcast on YouTube, on bodyslam.net. Crown jewel. I can't wait till he's crowned with some gold around that
I know,
waist.
right?
I'm due.
The G1 returns to Dallas, I believe, in July.
July 6th.
July 6th. New Japan's going to rely heavily on American wrestlers to spread the word of New Japan here in the States. It's done a tremendous job in California, and now you're going into Dallas for on July the 6th. What are you going to try to do to get that message out there for New Japan right before leading up to that event?
I'm just going to do what I do every time, and that's during the matches. No matter what the circumstance, what match, what stipulation, whatever, it's put 100% into it and give the fans the entertainment and the hopefully if they're not a wrestling fan and they just so happen to turn on and see New Japan Pro Wrestling for the first time on Access TV or whatever, hopefully whatever match is on there, will pull them into becoming full-time fans.
Yeah, it starts hitting up now in the summertime. Now you have the G1 tournament, and you select the blocks and everything like that. So it's going to start heat up. Amazingly, G1 Supercard, is just the beginning, and now it's all gonna heat up. And again, Dallas.
Screw the NCAA tournament. Screw the March brackets. The brackets for the G1 is always something.
Exactly.
I didn't compete in a G1 yet, but last year I was on the G1 tour, and that is the most difficult schedule.
Yeah. Wow.
And I can only imagine the guys in the tournaments that are having to wrestle, 9, 10 singles matches, 11 singles matches, whatever the single matches is. I haven't done a lot of singles matches, but I did 3 last month, and your body really can feel it. So to do 10, 11, whatever it is in that month of,
it's crazy.
It's not only that, but then it's every day where you're packing up and traveling to a new city, and you're riding the bus 5-6 hours, then wrestling, and then going out to dinner with the sponsors, and you don't get into 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and you leave at 8 in the morning or something like that, and again travel 4, 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes on a bus, like I said, and then the matches, it gets to you, and wrestling's not just about what you can do in the ring, it's also mentally what you can take, and there's a lot of guys that are tremendous athletes, but if they come to a schedule like that, where they're having to live out of their suitcase and be away from home, be away from their families, it could be mentally exhausting and take its toll on you.
Is that something you want to partake in terms of challenging yourself mentally? Because it's a physical grind, of course, but mentally you always have to stay sharp.
Yeah, the G1's probably the most prestigious tournament in the world, and to be a part of that would be amazing, and maybe this year, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see how the next few months unfold.
Well, I personally would love to see that happen, because I think the more he's in the ring, the more people see Chase Owens, especially with gold around that waist. That U.S. title is primed for this man. It would be a dream come true for the fan standpoint. Chase, we're going to let you get back to partying with the fans and enjoying this Bullet Club block party again. Really tremendous turnout today. Chase Owens, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
Podcast.
All right, guys, want to thank Chase Owens for that tremendous interview from the Bullet Club block party. The G1 Supercard heads to Dallas, Texas in July the 6th, and I expect big things from Chase Owens. I think he's going to have a great 2019, and he will just build off from 2018, the crown jewel. Once again, we want to thank him for that tremendous interview. You can catch that video interview, actually, on our YouTube channel, High Spot Podcast. Make sure you like it and subscribe. So, thinking about the alternatives, if you're not a WWE fan, if you're not a fan of the product right now, you can go on social media. You can check out all these great promotions. We have one here in Jersey, Game Changer Wrestling, which is just continues to innovate, and that is why a lot of people are watching the product because they continue to innovate. And led by Joey Janela, Brett Lauderdale, who we hope to talk to in the future, just continuing to do big things. And I believe they had 4 sold-out shows during WrestleMania weekend in Jersey City. So props to them. But again, there is a lot of variables, a lot of different combinations, a lot of flavors. Taking a quote from the Trendsetter, his Baskin-Robbins always example, that there are so many flavors in wrestling, you just don't have to stick to one. So when I'm thinking about that, we had a tremendous week of wrestling on Saturday and Sunday as the NWA and Ring of Honor presented the Crockett Cup. Now, congratulations to PCO and Brody King for winning the Crockett Cup and winning the NWA Tag Team titles. But the match that stole the show was Marty Scurll and Nick Aldis. A tremendous story told, and that is all thanks to Dave Lagana, his 10 Pounds of Gold series that he provides there. And very interesting. You can relate to the fans, you can relate to the wrestlers, you can relate to the storyline of best friends who are competing for the NWA Championship. Marty Scurll did a tremendous job, showed why he is a high echelon wrestler in the world today, why he is one of the very best. And I think this was a very defining match in Nick Aldis' career. I think this is one that you look back on and be like, wow, busted open, full of blood, resilient, was able to win it without the help of anybody. He did it on his own. So Marty Scurll shows why he is one of the very best out there in pro wrestling today. And Nick Aldis had one of his defining matches as NWA champion. And it was nice because you saw the old colors of the NWA. For some time, I was looking at the broadcast and I was thinking, man, I kind of feel old school. I kind of feel like I'm in 1985, 86 at the heyday of the NWA. So it was nice to reflect and think about the old times, the old-fashioned belts as well, too. Congratulations to Allison Kay for winning the NWA Women's Championship. We've had her on the show several times, so again, want to congratulate her on her win against Santana Garrett. 2 very deserving people, but Allison Kay gets the victory and becomes the new NWA World Champion for the women. So congratulations to everybody. Tremendous. Go back and look at it. I think it's available on the Honor Club and also on the Fight app, so definitely check it out. That's great wrestling. That is a tremendous story told through video from the 10 Pounds of Gold series, so definitely check it out. And then on Sunday, Impact Wrestling had Rebellion, and now say what you want. Now, we had a press conference that we went to for the United We Stand event in Rahway, New Jersey during WrestleMania weekend, and we had Scott D'Amore, we had Don Callis, we had Tessa Blanchard, Brian Cage, and the sentiment was that Impact Wrestling is turning into the right direction. It seems like morale has been boosted up. It seems like they're on the right track, and the wrestling that they're providing the fans, the quality of these matches is tremendous. Brian Cage finally won the big one and defeated Johnny Impact to become the new Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. We saw the debut of Big Mike Elgin, who made his impact, no pun intended, right away, laying out Brian Cage. Now, Brian Cage did injure his back. We wish him a speedy recovery. We hope that all is well. And just the very thought of a Michael Elgin versus Brian Cage match down the road for Impact Wrestling, that's a main event that I would be rushing to my TV set to watch, and hopefully we see it sooner than later. And then, of course, Gail Kim and Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard proves why she is one of the best women's wrestlers out there today, why she has that it factor, and Gail Kim showed that she still had it. It was a passing of the torch. It legitimizes Tessa Blanchard as, if not the best women's wrestler not signed by WWE. She definitely is up there. To me, she is very good at what she does. She is definitely in the top 5 discussion, if not at the very top. And then you see LAX win and become the 4-time Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions in a death-defying match against Lucha Bros, Pentagon, and Phoenix. a tremendous matchup. And if you can watch it again and you haven't seen it, go give it a chance. Go check out NWA and Ring of Honor. Their partnership seems to work. They kind of both have the same target audience. They both send the same message. So definitely, I think that's a partnership that works. And Impact Wrestling, again, signs Big Mike Elgin. You know they're eventually going to lose the Lucha Bros as they've signed exclusively to AEW here in the States. But what a way to close a chapter of Lucha Brothers on Impact Wrestling. So, and the thing is, Impact Wrestling, while they lose two great talents, an influx of another talent comes in Michael Elgin. We knew he left New Japan. It was just a matter of time before he signed with a big company in the States. So you've got wrestling everywhere. And whether you agree with WWE going back to Saudi Arabia, you have a choice. You don't just have to watch the WWE product. And I think what's going on too, as far as the ratings drop, is that there are alternatives. And that is why WWE is not just the only player in town anymore. So it's going to be interesting as we head into AEW Double or Nothing in the next coming weeks. What's going to happen? Is there really going to be a landscape change where the ratings continue to drop? Like I said, October is going to be a huge month for WWE as the Fox deal gets in full effect. And also now with names like Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, and The Undertaker returning to Saudi Arabia, are people going to actually be interested in this event this upcoming June? I don't know. Last I heard, people didn't really care for the last Crown Jewel, so I have not even seen it in its entirety, nor do I care to even watch it. And that is with Shawn Michaels making his return to the WWE. So I'll just leave it on that, folks, because it is going to be very interesting. But again, guys, I want to thank you. The Trendsetter will be back here next week sitting in the co-host chair. We'll have some fun with him, talk about, just what he went through this past week. Again, sending positive vibes to the Trendsetter and a speedy recovery. He's in good spirits. We're going to put a smile on his face here next week as we talk Double or Nothing. We are in that month. We're just a few weeks away, and High Spot Podcast will be in Las Vegas with bodyslam.net, and we will look forward to being a part of that earth-shaking, groundbreaking event. So, guys, support the crew. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Visit the website, highspotpodcast.com. Also, listen to us on all our podcast platforms. Like I said, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, radio.com. TuneIn, we are available everywhere. So definitely check us out. Like and subscribe, download, and support the crew, folks. We can only provide you these great episodes with your support and want to see that you guys care, and that deeply means the world to us. Follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe, High Spot Podcast, and also buy the shirt. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/highspotpodcast. Get yourself a High Spot Podcast t-shirt. Support the crew. We're a nice looking shirt, guys. That's right, High Spot Podcast is on Pro Wrestling Tees. I am Jeff Martin, and as we do every single freaking episode for all of you, we do this for the crew.